basically was told by a very good source close to that Washington situation that they're going to explore their options. The one thing I wonder with Giannis is, like, how much power does he have and where they trade him, and does this relatively, I guess, new owner there really care? Does he have a relationship with Giannis? I do think with Giannis and the Bucks are going to do what's best for them, not what's best for Giannis.
A man who personally attended both of those Spurs-Thunder games earlier this week. Please do tell about that experience.
Well, that is an intriguing question. I'm going to switch it up.
Nice.
All right. I'm going to say this, and I'm sure some of the most ardent Warriors fans, a lot of Warriors fans have already. But even if you just got a little bit of money, put your nickels together in a jar to go watch Wemby play. You got to get it in person. It looks great on TV, but I'm telling you, he's like one of the wonders of the world. You have to see it in person. And what I saw from him, and just the dunks, the block shots, like everything looks like a little kid on a Nerf hoop, It's just absolutely incredible, and to think that he's under 25 years old right now, and just so motivated for greatness and really cares is just amazing. And that I was trying to think of the best games that I've ever seen in my life, and I might need you guys to give me a week to say where that double overtime game in Oklahoma City ranks. That was pretty incredible, fun to watch, nonstop action, nonstop fight, great win by the Spurs. And I actually asked R.C. Buford, the GM of the Spurs, was that the most unbelievable playoff win ever? And we kind of both leaned on when Robert Horry hit that three and beat the Pistons in the finals. Finals is different, right? But it drew well for a reason. Both these playoff series have drawn well for a reason. It's been outstanding basketball so far. Shea reminded you who he was.
Yeah, he reminded me that he can also stay on his feet after a shot. I charted it earlier today. He took 24 shots from the field. He only fell down 8 times, Mark. That's got to be a good sign.
You know what? I'm not an SGA hater, man. I think I'm the only one. And maybe he schmoozed me because he takes my questions probably more than most people. But, hey, I have no apologies for the way he takes the ball to the hole. You don't have to foul him. You don't have to fall for his antics. And I'm sure it drives some of the referees nuts, right? But, his ability to hit some of the most unique shots, get to the line, lead that team, hit clutch shots. There's more love than hate when it comes to me in SGA.
Mark, when you experience those two teams, whether it's in person or on TV, what we're seeing right there is the current NBA bar. So what does that mean for teams like the Warriors strategically this offseason, knowing that they've got a long way to go to get to that bar?
Well, first of all, and I'm sure the Knicks and the Cavaliers would feel differently, you can make an argument that we're really watching the NBA Finals in that series.
Yes.
Those are the two best teams. I think it's hard to argue against that. The one thing that both of those two teams have is a tremendous amount of not only talent, but youth. And that's why probably keeping the 11th pick, look, you're not going to be as young as the Thunder or Spurs tomorrow, and you may never be. But, when you start getting a piece that's in the 11th pick can be, I think you start in the direction of, not only making the team younger, but preparing for life without Steph.
And that becomes, paramount here down the road, maybe sooner, depending on what you do this summer. It also could be later, but I'm struck by the talent gap comment that LeBron James made on the podcast with Steve Nash. Do you think that sort of a reality is going to color the way the Warriors go about the offseason?
What did he say? I missed that.
He basically said they didn't get outworked, they didn't get out physical, they didn't get out hustled, they got out talented by OKC.
Well, I mean, Luka didn't play.
Yep.
I mean, maybe if Luka plays, we're talking about something different, right? And maybe if Jimmy Butler and Steph and Moody play, we're talking about something a little different. Because I think completely healthy, both those teams could at least fare like Minnesota did, right? Maybe they could have pushed either one of these two teams, but I think that's the problem, with age. Although Luka's quite young, so they're just better. But I do wonder, like, what will LeBron do after this, right? Like, he's talking about maybe waiting to August or September. And if he waits to August or September to make a decision, to me, that probably benefits maybe the Warriors or the Cleveland Cavaliers or another team outside the Lakers, because I don't think the Lakers can sit on $58 million in salary and just wait on him to make a decision, and I'm not sure I know how much the Lakers want him or not. I would assume they would want him back. Then you got to wonder at what price. So the LeBron James free agency is going to be quite interesting from a lot of standpoints. And I do wonder if, behind the scenes, maybe Steph and Draymond are trying to tap him on the shoulder. But, I mean, there's no money for the Warriors to give him. I mean, you're not going to do a sign and trade, right? So I think for a team like the Warriors, you're hoping that if you have interest in LeBron James, and I'm not saying that they do, that they renounce him and make him a free agent, and then maybe the Warriors can be creative.
Where do you think Giannis Antetokounmpo plays basketball next year?
That's a good question. Now that we know, like, where the draft lottery is, I did find it curious that Washington, hasn't really put their arms around A.J. Debinsa just yet. Like, you haven't heard anything definitive. Typically at this time, you would have heard that, they're likely to do this. I think the expectation is. But I wonder, I basically was told by a very good source close to that Washington situation that they're going to explore their options. And I think that with some of the young talent that they have, why not, right? The one thing I wonder with Giannis is, like, how much power does he have and where they trade him, and does this relatively, I guess, new owner there really care? Does he have a relationship with Giannis where he's worried about his destination? Obviously, Portland didn't care for Dame, right? Sending him to Milwaukee. Dame didn't want to go there. But I do think at this point with Giannis and the Bucks are going to do what's best for them, not what's best for Giannis.
Do you think?
And so I'm really curious to see if the Bucks can get something done before the draft, because if they're going to move on, to me, now is the time. This is one of the best drafts in years, probably as good, maybe better than that Cade Cunningham draft. If you got some fans some time to do a deep dive into that one, look at that, because I'm having GM saying it's on par, if not better than that draft. But if you're going to rebuild, this is the perfect draft to send Giannis and rebuild. And then another thing is he's in his early 30s, right? Like, this isn't a young player anymore. So a lot of times you got to be a little wary when you trade for a player like Giannis, who had some injury issues this year, whether you're going to get the Giannis in Milwaukee or the Giannis in the next chapter. I would like to think the Giannis in Milwaukee is still available and still has some great years, because, the players play longer and got, better training and stuff than they used to. But right now, I wish I could be a fly on the wall in Milwaukee's ownership, and obviously they got a new coach too. Taylor Jenkins to kind of try to figure out what they think is best that they do. But I would say there's, I'm not saying it's for sure, but I just really wouldn't be surprised if there's some kind of move sending him somewhere before the draft.
Does the price change on what the Bucks can get based on, one, they're kind of up against it now in the summer where Giannis wants out, and two, this draft is so good, maybe a team doesn't have to give up as many future picks because the Bucks will get a good player this year?
Yeah, I mean, if you're the Bucks, you want to control who you get. Why not try to get the number one pick? Another thing is that Washington has a player in Trae Young, and also a player, although Trae Young is, his contract's a little bit more complicated, a player in Anthony Davis that they could use in a trade for a guy like Giannis as well. They also have some really, really good young talent. Like if I'm Milwaukee, if I could get the number one pick and maybe steal a couple of their talented young guys, and I don't know that Anthony Davis or Trae Young would be ecstatic about going to another rebuilding situation, but you got to make the money work somehow, right? I think Washington is one of the teams that, from obviously a draft standpoint and young talent standpoint, they have the ability to make a move. And I wonder if Washington, because they're dangling this pick to see, when you say stuff like that, that means maybe Washington's like tired of like the rebuilding thing and want to try to accelerate their process. And Giannis certainly has the ability to do that.